Oh, baby! We have ourselves some crazy rumors on two teams that are actually playing later today, not against each other, they're in separate contests. But this video, despite the fact that I don't like to talk about teams that are going to play right before they're going to play, we have to go out there and talk about this idea. It's tossed out there by David Pagnotta on the fourth period. This article was published yesterday. Do the Devils go all in for Jacob Markstrom? It's an interesting conversation. By the way, big HD photo. That's nice. And it goes out there and talks about a whole bunch of rumors around the NHL. But if you scroll over to a very particular rumor that is discussed over here, it's in the here and there section of the piece, wherein David Pagnotta goes out there and talks about a bunch of extra news and tidbits around the league. We're talking about the Oilers and the Flyers. Here's why. The Oilers are exploring multiple trade options, including adding a second-line winger and a defenseman. They like Sean Walker of the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Flyers are not only willing to retain a part of his contract, but they're also willing to take on a salary if incentivized to do so. Jack Campbell, anyone? Oh dear. Oh dear, are we going to see a Jack Campbell redemption tour with yet another team in orange in the NHL? Jack Campbell, to his credit, after all the smack and all the crap that we have tossed his way and discussed about his profile the past few months, has admittedly been pretty good lately. He's got a .941 save percentage in his recent 2 games, 2 goals against per game, so 4 total, and 64 saves. His last 5 games sees him at a .932 save percentage and 11 goals against, so just over 2 goals against per game. Campbell, in his totality of the season, has not been the best, .909 save percentage in 17 games, but as we had said, he's been slowly back on the upswing. His .873 save percentage in the NHL this season is garbage. We're not going to sugarcoat that. But based off of how he's been recovering, based off of the goaltending coaching that has been going on in the Edmonton and Bakersfield system, based off of the progression here, you could very well say that the Jack Campbell that started out the season with 4 goals against on 16 shots or whatever it was, is not the same Jack Campbell that is doing what he's doing right now. Admittedly, he's in the AHL, but still, there's a lot of star power behind this name and behind the contract. $5 million a year till the end of 26-27, and if the Philadelphia Flyers are in a spot where they could take on some money and they could potentially talk about a guy like Campbell, honestly, the fit makes sense in more ways than one, in my opinion. Not even talking about Sean Walker here, but just talking about the goaltending situation with the Philadelphia Flyers. As everybody knows, Carter Hart was recently convicted on a charge of SA, so yeah, he's not going to be a part of this team anymore for the foreseeable future. Samuel Ersson has played 27 games, he's got a .903 save percentage, he's actually like one of the top goalies in the NHL in shutouts this year, he's got 3 on the season, which is kind of nuts. And Cal Peterson has spent a good chunk as the tertiary backup on this team too. .889 save percentage, .338 goals against, and 3 games played. If the Philadelphia Flyers are in a spot where they just want to keep Felix Sandstrom in the AHL, they don't really see him too much as a solidified NHL guy, if they're not going to get any goaltending from Carter Hart, which they shouldn't be at this point, then would it not be appropriate to go out there and maybe get a Jack Campbell? I mean, the Oilers themselves have been fine. The Oilers with Cal Pickard and Stuart Skinner have been okay. You've got Olivier Rodrigue in the AHL also doing his thing. Maybe a backup in the AHL isn't really the most desired need, but if you needed somebody to come in the backup role, I mean, just get somebody, an extra goalie from the Philadelphia Flyers, maybe try to make this work. Maybe if you try to send over Jack Campbell for Sean Walker and a Felix Sandstrom or whatever, and you kind of swap everything around so that maybe Peterson is the up-and-down tweener and Campbell becomes the backup in Philadelphia. Sandstrom goes over to the Oilers AHL team and does some stuff over there. And then, of course, there's value in Sean Walker being included as a defenseman here too. 29 years old, right-handed defenseman, 5'11", signed to the end of this season making $2.6 million a year. He's got 19 points in 52 games, played on pace for about 30, and he blocks shots too. Walker has been a pretty good and fairly consistent player this entire season, so I could totally understand why him and Nick Seeler are players of value amongst the Edmonton Oilers. Everybody talks about how this team needs defense, they need right-handed guys, whatever. It's been a pretty hot topic over the past few months, especially considering the fact that the Oilers have been good, like legitimately good lately. So, whether it's Sean Walker, whether it's somebody else like a Nick Seeler or whatever, who knows where exactly these conversations are going to go with Flyers defensemen, but for a team like Philly that could stand to use, let's say, an extra trade or two, they're doing pretty alright in the standings right now. If you check everything out, I mean, they're third overall in the Metro, so do you want to go out there and start selling off pieces that are going to be debatably a part of your future? And I say debatably because Walker is expiring at the end of the year. So it is a question as to where you value your time. Do you value more so what's going on in Philadelphia right now? You like seeing the results on paper, you like seeing them in the playoff race, and you want to prioritize that? Or do you say, hey, we don't really know if Walker's going to come back, we could use some extra goaltending help, and maybe Jack Campbell is the guy to get that done. If we're able to retain some salary, maybe we're able to get some extra salary in return. We want to capitalize on our cap. And let's say we get ourselves a bounce-back goalie who's actually going to become good again. Maybe that's the incentive that Philadelphia needs to make a trade like this work. Especially since, I mean, David Pagnotta is saying the Flyers are willing to retain the contract. They're also taking on some extra salary in the process. They would be okay with doing that. So is this the big break that a guy like Jack Campbell needs to get back into the NHL? It's not going to be against an Oilers backup tandem like Pickard and Stuart Skinner. He's not breaking onto that scene. They've kind of sailed that ship already. They've been pretty good. So for Campbell and the regular Oilers squad now, do you make some sort of a trade with Philadelphia to get things done? I mean, going over some of the numbers here, both Pickard and Skinner have been great. Skinner is now at a .910 save percentage, which is great. Very, very good. He was at like an .870 earlier in the year, but who knew? Winning games, streaking big wins, and consistently getting good results in terms of goals against is going to help your save percentage get back up there. So good on Stuart Skinner. We had talked about him a bunch over the past few months. Firstly, starting things off because he was bad, and then because he was, getting 3 stars of the month honors, and then it was bouncing back and everything was looking good. This crease is his in Edmonton. Campbell, sorry buddy, but you don't really have a chance at breaking back onto this Oilers squad in the next few months over here. Maybe next year, if he doesn't get traded. Of course, $5 million a year till the end of 26-27 is a huge commitment. So if any team like Philadelphia is going to get him, then they have to be really sure that retaining salary and having a big dollar amount cap hit on their book is something they truly think is going to be okay for them. But if they're able to get Campbell back and actually get Campbell back, and I say get him back like get this version of Jack Campbell back, the .921 save percentage version, the .914 and 49 games version, the .931, .961 save percentage version back, then that could be a huge, huge win. Especially if you're concerned on the future longevity of Sean Walker in the organization. You don't know if he's going to come back. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire idea over here that David Pagnotta brings up, that we may see ourselves some sort of a Jack Campbell return in another different orange sweater. Maybe it's Jack Campbell in a Sean Walker trade. Maybe there's some extra stuff added on top of that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you're an Oilers or a Philadelphia Flyers fan. How do you feel about Jack Campbell getting traded for Walker? Do you think there's some extra stuff that needs to be added on? What is that extra stuff? What balances the scales to make this trade worth it for both sides? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, the article will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and read this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.